Have here the pine top chunk. We are writing chunk icons on stickies and put them in an order. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Christian from Berlin and today we're going to take the next step. I will teach you in this lesson how to play more diverse choruses, how to map out ideas for the different chords, and or even just to plan longer phrases and remember them. So you will learn to build roadmaps for ideas and a way to remember them in a practicable, visual way. The sheet music contains now lessons 5 to 8 from this series. It's really good value. Go buy it, and that supports also my channel. And I'll do some more explaining beginning of the lesson. Let's just go. So today we are taking the next step, and that is, being able to plan a longer roadmap ahead, so that we're not just stuck in the beginning, being under stress, and then we play what we always play, and that's always, that's boring. So how do we do this? And here comes the plan. When you followed me, you learned now to recognize certain patterns or ideas. For example, you already know without even looking, without even listening. You could be blindfolded and deaf. And all these structures, patterns, ideas you recognize, we give them a name. In learning psychology, it's called chunk. And we want to visualize it, that even when we are in the 9th bar, we are not lost. Stickies, yes, made of paper. You know what paper is? Remember that, youngsters? And the top of the piano is our timeline. And here we go. Now we are here. We are writing chunk icons on stickies and put them in an order so that we have a rough compass. That helps. First, very easy example, okay? We are moving on from there. We take the first sticky paper and write down DR for drone lick, okay? Yes. And the next sticky will help us already to tell us in this second 2 bars of the 4 bars of C7, we play BS. Yeah, we indeed play BS, and it's, of course, BS, everybody knows what it stands for. That's right, blues scale. We also have major BS. Most of the time a blues musician has major BS in his life, but here it means major blues scale. So, first sticky, just for you to get the concept. Now, BS, down. Very simple example to get to, make you understand this, okay? You could also refine your how did I call it? Chunk. By calling it, for example, DR and a little arrow up. Refine it a little bit. And then for the BS, down, you do a little arrow down. May I tell you an anecdote in between? I found that very interesting. A friend of mine, he had played in a lineup with Jackie Terrasson, one of the great jazz piano players, Jackie Terrasson. Do I pronounce it right? Jackie Terrasson. And so, since he played before him, he was backstage with him. And when they were setting up the stage, he could look at his sheet. Why is he improvising? He's an improviser, great improviser. Why does he need a sheet of paper except the set list? And then he looked at it, and there was a circle on that sheet of paper, and there were a couple of arrows, and he was seeing little things like autumn leaves or something like little notes, and these arrows were possibilities. So he also had a roadmap, and he's a world class. We are world middle class, let's say. He was world class and still had a roadmap that that he prepared probably at home. So you could say, like, from here he could quote, maybe in this improvisation part, he could quote Autumn Leaves. He didn't have to, but he could. So different possibilities. Basically, that's what we're doing. He had his own sticky. Where were we? Okay. But of course, it's getting also very interesting if we want to play longer lines, including several chunks, like a piece of scale, a certain lick. This is very interesting if you want to go on improvising, that you can improvise longer lines without having them learned by heart completely from the sheet music. And I want to give you a couple of examples for those, because then it's becoming really sweet. So we start on C for two reasons. First, we can practice the chunk business here on C easier, and also we have 4 C bars in the beginning, so there's a lot of time where you do not want to play the same element for all 4 C bars, which we did until now, but to play different stuff combined already on the first long 4 C bars. I want you to listen and find out, or have a close listen if you can already recognize chunks, the patterns you learned already. Now come, who's the good student? First chunk. It's major blues scale. The major blues scale would also include the D. So, yes, chunk major blues scale without the D. Go down, also major BS. And then second chunk. Magic triangle. And third chunk, drone. Yeah? Okay, so these are the 3 things combined here already. 3 stickers. Now, of course, what you do not know, if you just remember the chunk, is how exactly and where do I return. But that is much less to remember than note by note. So, but the basic idea is you know what you want to play, and you have less to remember, just the variations or the starting point and ending point. And then you go to the next element, the magic triangle, and the drone lick. Okay? Next. Again. You just remember this little upbeat. It's also a little chunk if you want so. It's a standard upbeat, just like there's certain standard upbeats. You know that also by now if you went through all my lessons. And very typical chunky upbeat standard. Sorry. Got this chunk? Go the chunks? Two chunks in here. Well, three if you count the upbeat. Here. It's a drone, but from the 7. So you could write DR and then 7. Okay? As a little memory hook. We go from here, and from here, what is this? This is what I more or less profanely call the 5-2 business, because we have the 5-2 fingers always alternating with the first finger, you see? I'm not going to do a very slow lesson on those, because I assume, we're building up here. And here. 2-5 business. Okay? And that would be another example. You play around with that, please. And get routine in that. Here we have Come on, yes, you guys from Norway or you from India, wonderful. That's great, huh? That's what I really enjoy. I have people from Sri Lanka, from Japan, from the US, from what have you, from the sun, maybe even. I was deviating. Okay, now we have the what I often called, remember that, the chunk, butterfly. We play the blues scale. But in the butterfly thing, dot, 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 we have the blues butterfly. So, and yeah. You know that now. Come on, cooperate. Work with me. It's the royal thirds. So the chunk would be royal thirds, but it's so often played also with dissolved with a thumb that it's called would be called a subchunk. A subchunk. I like that word. Like dissolved. Okay, so now we have butterfly. You just have to remember where it starts. And okay. And while we're at butterflies, next example would be yes. Again, when you started out blues piano, you thought, well, I can never play this. And then Christian from Berlin came along and told you about BS and chunks. Here we have the butterfly. On the third, here the second butterfly, main butterflies. And this one. So, butterfly here, butterfly 1, butterfly 2. So, what is this chunk? Anybody? No, not you from Berlin, I know you. This is, it's drone, but this is what I call circling the E. With very important chunk in blues piano. It played a lot of times, that's why it deserves the term chunk, because it's standard element, standard pattern. So, now, drone, but circling the E. And this is the drone lick, of course. Okay, so we have BF, circling the E, little circle with an E in it, and twice. Yeah, you would have just to write 2 times and then dr. Okay, let's take a next example. You get the game, huh? You understand it. Okay, we have another 3-chunk thing. You know, when you buy Ben & Jerry's ice cream, you're happy if there are more than 2 chunks in it, right? And so we're happy about 3 chunks in this one. And I want you to identify them and give a name to the first one. I play it slowly. Is your brain working? Mine isn't. It's 10:30 in the morning. So we have this one. We have this one. And we have this one. The first one, I'd like to name them like power licks. So we can call that the power chunk, or just, you know, a P, for example, or a PC. Yeah. Okay, let's call it P. And since there may be more power chunks, we could call it like power P1, for example, or just like a little lightning for power. And so we have them. And then we have, you know that already, the Bermuda Triangle, the magic triangle. And we have the 2-5 business. And this is also easy to play because it's all like straight in triplets. Easy one to learn. 3 stickies. Okay? And you have a wonderful long line. After a while, you can even throw the chunks away, and because you have it in your mind. So, next one. Will we repeat 2 old school chunks? Old school chunks. And it's the 6th and it's the 3rd. 2 important chunks, ideas, whatever you call that. Just chunks sound so much nicer in the mouth to say. Okay, here. Can play it here. Very old school feeling. You can call that 6 arrow down, and keep in mind then the rest you have to memorize that it's dissolved. You can also, you know, write it DS instead of BS. You write DS, dissolved. Okay, so down 6 and that's it. 2 chunks. We move on. I want you to get, you know, get a feeling for what we do here. Let's say we play. We're still missing our. You name it. You name it. Go name it. Go name it. What chunk is it? That is right. We have RT, royal thirds, the full royal thirds, and then we have a little like this butterfly. Remember, we have 2 butterflies until now. Call it butterfly 2. If he's not like hurt, that you just call him butterfly number 2. And we have the drone circling the E. Don't take it for an ecstasy tablet. Okay, now we're coming to a 2-chunk element. If I was a little bit hard on you, now it's just 2 chunks, and it's this one. Do you know what a spider is? Of course you know what a spider is, but did I teach you that in my easy course or in my 28 ways of playing the blues scale? If not, watch that. It's a great lesson of mine. Yeah, Christian, you were so great, where I teach you different ways of playing the blues scale in an interesting fashion, and one of them is the spider, because it reminds me of Daddy Longleg. Here. Here, a spider. Just with the C in between, up the blues scale, And then, of course, you draw a little spider on your sticky. I wouldn't do that. I'm afraid of spiders. I would just run away from my piano, which would be counterproductive. So, and then downwards, we have the, you know them by now, the royal thirds, RT. Dissolved, RTDS, if you want so, if you need that. So, you can always, like, if it's 2 bars, you can repeat that for the start. You know, you have 2 elements. That's fine, that's great. Now take out the sticky of a different color because, you know, when we are coming to the run-up. And why do you need a different sticky? Because once you play the 4th bar of C7, my experience is many of you doze away then. Like it's the 4th bar, you're completely lost. And if there's a run up, you forget about it. Because you make a sticky for the run up. And you at the beginning use just one run up, the standard run up. How would we do that? Yeah, so just sticky RU, run up. Or whatever, just an arrow up or whatever. So, do that. You will forget about that in the second half of the 4th bar of C. Okay, now we're coming to the F. Okay, now we're trying to spread our roadmap over all chords. You have a couple of ideas what to do on how to waste your time on C7, and now you've all forgotten what did I want to play on F. I just play the same, and no, today we're going to do that step. So you come up here, and the first sticky you should do is this one. I remember it because it's so similar to the pine top. So I memorize it with my internal sticky as the pine top chunk. It is also a possibility that you have your very personal memory of that. A drummer I worked with, we had a special groove, and he could write down like, shuffle 4th beat with this and this in between, and he just took down the song he knows that from, and then he wrote down like just the first couple of words of that song title. So remember the groove by his own personal memory. That's also a great way to remember your chunks. So we have here the pine top chunk, and you can play that twice. We'll just need 1 sticky for the whole of F. Okay? Now, if you're within the easy piano range, no one really defined what easy blues piano from where to where it reaches. You can have 2 chunks. For example, pine, and what was that? Circling the E with the drone, you know? Circling the E. We go down, here's the E, and we want to circle it. So there would be an E, like maybe a D for the drone and an E with a circle. Something like this. You make it the way you memorize it best, okay? So, yeah. And repeating is always a possibility. It's not like I don't know anything anymore, but repeating is a very important musical means. Make use of it. It also gives you breathing time. Another sticky you could do on F, for example. Now you should also make a sticky for the thing you always forget when you actually, under stress, is your favorite way to connect, for example, F back to C, which makes it sound so much nicer. For example, first chunk could be it's one of the standard ways of connecting F back to C. And once you play this scale here, and while you're here, you have little time, you forget it, but there's the sticky to help you. And you see it because it's right in front of you. So, would be BS down, BS running down. Sorry. And now it comes. You know, you could remember this as one chunk, but you also know there is another sub-chunk in here. That's basically an idiom in itself. And then, and we have the same as before, remember? Circling the E here. Yes, that's great. Then, of course, you know, there are F-specific chunks, but of course, you know, you're free to do anything. You can also play the drone over F. That is totally legitimate. And whatever you fancy, you know, just you know something different for F. A great chunk for F would be also using this. You'll be coming from our run up, and now you have the chunk ready here. You know what's coming. You feel at ease. You have this little triangle, the magic triangle, and we have another standard way, always reliable, good tool to come down to see is the 6 down, falling into the, we had that just in my last tutorial in Boogie Boogie, falling down into the tonic. Okay, so, and then we have a look at some stickers for G. Did we do this? I did a lesson before and I trashed it. I was not satisfied with it, so I'm not sure if I explained it in the first version. Where I could not give it a name except that it's one of the favorites. So if you have a couple of favorites, let's say 4 favorites that do not have a name given by me, like Magic Triangle or whatever, you just call it your favs. On this it would be like my fav 1. And so I would have put my sticky here on the piano and have fav 1. And or yeah, like this. And by now, of course, you've become surely but slowly experts. Yeah, it's the 2-5 chunk. Now it starts. Here. You see? I showed you before and you learned it before. That's the basis for it all. That you learn that you watch my parts. The parts of for beginners and for the Easy Blues Piano course until now. Okay, and finally 2 examples involving G7 and F7. But this lesson is not for you to show you new content. My lessons up to now are full of that content I want you to do chunks for, and you know that already. Anyway, I do a couple of more examples because it's that some of you might feel tempted to buy the sheet music for these examples, because that's what is making this channel possible. So here are 2 more examples, and I'll show you also one of my personal chunks. This one here, we are on G now. And I remember this by my chunk Professor Longhair, because there is like this New Orleans piece where he's using this. And it's just shuffled, you know, and on G. But this is how I always remember this. My chunk is, you know, I would I would draw a little icon with a hippie with long hair. Okay, so it would be this. First, long hair. Yeah, hold on. Oh. And Faf connect 1. Okay, so that's one of my personal chunks. Okay, you want to see that again? And connect number 1. Okay, and the last one here. What chunks are in here? What chunks are in here? Come on. Are you still alive? Are you still with me? It might be 4 o'clock in the morning in Australia, but you should be at the monitor right now. Who wants to sleep? So. Thirds. Yes, of course, it's the old school thirds, just on G. Yeah? Okay. Sounds great on G. Yes, BS down, and you just have to remember one triplet in the beginning, and that is starting at the minor 7. You could play BS down 7 and maybe a little 3, but don't make it too complicated, you know? So, and then BS is always running down, remember that. And then, of course, you know, this is an easy chunk. It's the standard turnaround. You just put a circle for turnaround, that you don't forget it. Many forget it, you know, you're just fully involved with this one, and so happy they managed to do this, they managed this, and it's the third chorus already, and then they forgot all about the rest of the world, and oh no! There was something. This is what it's for. This is what it's for, you know, that you at the end of maybe the 11th turnaround, you're already in a coma, and you still remember. You got to play the standard turnaround in the end. Okay? That's it. It was plenty, and I hope you learned what I meant. If you enjoyed this lesson and if it was helpful, take your favorite chunk